My name is Joe Reichard. I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Saab Doctor. Today's episode, we're going to be working on the 9000 again. I know I've been jumping around a bit. For those of you that don't know, I'll put a card down one of these sides just showing what we did last time I worked on the 9000, which was where I started tearing into the engine, got to a point where I wanted to drop the exhaust, had a stud get stuck in the turbo, and that was too far backed out, so I couldn't get the exhaust off, and that is where we are. So we're going to get that exhaust off completely. I'm taking the exhaust off front to back, going to drop the pan, and hey everybody, this is Future Joe coming to you in the past. It sounds really weird because it's just the beginning of the video, but I'm wearing a different shirt then. I didn't get to the oil pan tonight, and you'll see why. See what we're dealing with, and if we have more time, we'll dig into more things. I'll probably start taking the front suspension apart because I'm going to probably rebuild these axles instead of getting new ones, so stay tuned. Okay, so now for those of you that don't remember, or those of you that are tuning in for the first time, this bottom stud is the one that the exhaust is getting hung up on. So this is actually in all the way right here. It looks like it was probably a replacement stud at some point, which makes sense for the age of the car. So I'm going to grab probably a vice grips, or try the two-nut method, where you put one nut on and put one nut in, then put another one on the outside and give it a twist out, and get that removed so we can drop that exhaust. So I came up with an idea while I was trying to get that off. I'm actually going to disconnect the exhaust halfway and try and push that downpipe forward to see if that helps any. Alright, grab the electric grinder. We're going to get underneath there and cut off those two exhaust bolts. Alright, now that that's loose, let's see if we can pull it out. Well, we can finally drop the pan because the downpipe and flex pipe are off. Hopefully the camera picked that all up. I ended up using a pry bar to actually pry this piece out because I couldn't unbolt it. The bolt is pretty well frozen on the end, so this mount on the back of the motor was just kind of stuck in there. But it's out. The pan can come down. This is the easy part. I hope I didn't just jinx myself. Okay, so about dropping that oil pan today. So, first off, I'm pretty sure this bolt doesn't actually belong here since the rest of these are, not hex, but star, or Torx. And I'm going to guess this has been resealed at one point, because, yeah. Anyways, plus it's leaking quite a bit from the pan itself, so this is going to have to come off. However, what I noticed was, if you look over here, that comes in contact with the subframe, which I didn't realize. And the other thing is, let's get back here, the back bolts are like inaccessible with this axle tube in here. So I am going to have to start taking things apart. I got to take it apart anyways because of things like, you know, that beautiful, because of things like that beautiful sway bar end link. So I'm going to start with that. There's a lot of leaky stuff under here. I might end up dropping the drivetrain completely because this thing, I think, needs a clutch. So that's actually one thing that I didn't really cover. So let me get out from underneath here and kind of explain that. So the 9000 needing a clutch, I didn't really bring that up before. So what I was going to plan on doing was I was going to bleed the clutch. Or I should say bleed the system. What happens is you push the clutch down and sometimes it sticks to the floor, not quite on the floor, but it sticks down below, and you can pop it back up. It'll pop back up. So I don't know if it needs a new, slave, a new clutch master. I'm not 100% sure if it just needs to be bled, but I mean, depending on what it takes to get that powertrain out of there, I might just replace the clutch itself while it's all out. Then I'll know it'll be good. For what we're going to do tonight is we're going to start taking the front suspension apart because that needs to come apart anyways. I'm going to need to rebuild those axles or get new ones. I'll probably end up rebuilding them. So let's just get into that. Alright. Start off by popping off the caliper spring and then removing the caliper. This takes a 7mm. Alright, these pads are actually in really good shape. There's a lot of meat on them. The caliper does not seem to be leaking at all, so that's good on this side. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to take a screwdriver, stuff it in the rotor. Might have to grab a smaller screwdriver for this and remove this axle nut. Alright, for the axle nut I'm actually going to use this is a 1 1/4. Put that on there, put a pipe on here, and now one thing I am going to do before taking the nut all the way off is give this a few taps with a mallet. And I just did that so I could loosen it up, make sure that it wasn't stuck on the face here. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to remove the tie rod end, then the sway bar end link, then the ball joint. Alright, the tie rod end's a 19. Alright, the end link on this one's a 17. Alright, this bushing is actually red. I wonder if it was replaced at some point. All I know is it's extremely hard and it's cracking, so that's getting replaced. Okay, so since that doesn't seem to be coming out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the 3 bolts on the bottom of this ball joint. I actually found out that the factory ball joints in the later cars did have bolts instead of rivets in them. So this is probably a factory ball joint. Okay, so I'm not reusing the tie rod end. Jeez, I thought that would come out easier. Let me grab the pickle fork. Let's try this again. Let's try this again. I'm not reusing that tie rod end. I'm also not right-handed, so this is going to look really awkward, probably. That actually, it does have play in it. I was going to say it felt surprisingly good, but that's got some play in it. All right. So, now what I'm actually going to do here, and I know that this isn't all one piece, but this is going to be a lot easier to work on if I take it all out as one piece. I'm going to remove the entire strut cartridge with the lower part like you would in an OG93. It's just going to make it a lot easier for me when I'm just taking this apart on the bench instead of in here. Alright, I wish I had two camera angles right now because that would make this a whole lot easier and better, but this is 3/17 millimeters. Now since I actually have brand new ABS sensors that I got from Jeff Shore at European, oh goodness, I never get the name of his business right. I'll put a logo on the screen right now. Since I have those, I'm just going to cut these. Plus, those were messed up anyways. As you can tell, this was actually like this before I even started. And it's hard to see, but that's actually all green, corrosion. So, it already had some issues. So let's get this out of here. And now, last but not least, I'm going to pull the axle out. Okay, so other than the inner and outer tie rod on this side, which I'll get to at another point, everything is taken out except for the end link, which, not a big deal. Just remove this one nut, slide everything off. I'm going to do those bushings as well. So the reason why this came out, it's very obvious. Ugh, that don't even feel good. Ugh. So, I'm going to try and rebuild this, or I might actually take it to an axle shop and see if they can rebuild it. This has had, yeah, you can tell that they tried to do a booger job on trying to keep this thing from leaking. So, it's good we got this pulled out. Kind of feel like I wasted the time a little bit on the oil pan tonight, but that's all right. Alright, so as you can tell, another day, another shirt. So I decided to, instead of doing two videos, just make this one video of front suspension because it makes absolutely no sense to do two videos. Why waste your time, and honestly mine, editing another video, when I'll probably just do a quick montage of this anyways. So let's get that passenger side suspension all out. So I'm just going to do the same thing as I did on this side and just remove the strut and the knuckle as one and remove the axle. So let's get going. Alright, now this is something kind of interesting. If you look here, let me grab light. If you look here, that boot is actually rubbing on the sway bar end link. Now that may not have been like that when the suspension was compressed, but that is definitely not how that's supposed to be. So hopefully once I check all the bushings and everything, that won't be a problem again. But this might be hard to see, but if you look right underneath here, there's actually no bushing. So let me get this out, then I can show you all what it looked like. This was never actually tight. Oh, and that broke right off, but you can see there isn't even a bushing on this bottom side. So that's definitely an issue here. Probably part of why it was sitting how it was, why this was pulling up as much as it was. So that'll definitely get replaced. Obviously, I'm going to be replacing these end links. Alright, so now I've got both front struts and knuckles out, of which I wanted to get those out anyways, just to clean everything up. I know I just need to take the strut the strut out and whatnot, but took the whole thing out. I also think I'm going to have some problems getting out the ABS sensors because I'm going to bet that those are like welded in there practically. I might also do new wheel bearings while I'm in there. The other thing is I got both axles out, which is a good thing. I don't know if you could see that passenger side one, but as I loosened up the hose clamp that was on it, all of a sudden a bunch of suction came off of it. So that thing was sucked in there pretty far, probably why it was actually hitting on that sway bar end link. The passenger side sway bar end link didn't have both isolators on both sides, so that was probably an issue as well. Just a whole lot of little stuff. I mean, it is a practically 200,000 mile car. So I'm not expecting the world. I'm not expecting there to be a lot of like quality work done in the past, because here's the thing. A lot of people, when these cars get older, they just kind of, put in the least amount of money, fix it as quick and easy as possible. It's somebody's daily driver. It's not a big deal. For me, it's not a daily driver. It's a toy. I want it to be right. I want it to be fun. I don't want to have to worry about it. So that's why I'm going through and redoing everything. This axle, let me grab it quick. This axle, exact same thing as the other one. The boot's broken. There's a lot of stuff in there. It's really hard to see, but there's a lot of stuff in there that might be hard to clean up, but we're going to try and clean it up. And it also has some duct tape on it. So they were trying to patch this one as well. It actually looks like this boot clamp, or this clamp. Oh no, that's definitely not a stock version. Never mind. I thought I saw this sticker on it and thought that was actually like an indentation in the boot. It's not. I was almost called that one wrong. So yeah, got that all pulled apart. So at some point I'll either take these in and get them rebuilt, or I'll rebuild them myself. Figure that one out yet. What it looked like when I was doing a few things was that there was a leak by the oil pump, or timing cover oil pump, that area. So I'm going to pull this wheel well guard out and we'll take a look and see what it is. Alright, hang on. Alright, let's take a look at this together. So, yep, definitely leaking from around the oil pump seal or the front main. So that's on the replacement list. Yep, that's leaking pretty good coming down actually. And then, of course, front of the head gasket, and there's more RTV in there. That is not head gasket, that's definitely RTV. Here, let me hang on a second. hang the light there. Just pick at this. Yeah, that's RTV for sure. You can tell that's RTV because of how it's stretching down and stretching around. So, I know I said it before, head gasket's on the list, front main is on the list, probably redo these bushings, clean up, you know, from where our friends probably were hanging out in here at one point, and just, you know, general stuff. Let's take a look at this tie rod end quick. I didn't check this one. Oh, that one don't move. Yeah, that's not good. So, I guess that's kind of the state of the union of the 9000 right now. Okay, so that's kind of where the 9000 is at for the moment. I have a feeling the engine's going to come out. That's probably the best way of doing it. That way I can more easily do the head gasket, I can reseal that timing cover, I can make sure the front main is good, I can also check the rear main at the same time, reseal everything, clean it up a bit. That way I can also go through all the wiring, all the vacuum lines, everything a whole lot easier when I put the engine back in. So I think that's going to be the plan. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's going to be the plan right now. Obviously, need to rebuild the axles, need to get suspension stuff, need to take the rear suspension out, need to get an exhaust, there's a lot of things to do. That's why it's a long-term project. The good part is, at least I know once I'm done, everything will be fixed. Everything will be right, I'll be able to take the car cross country if I want to, you know, that kind of a thing. And that's what I like to do with my project cars. I like to get them all sorted out 100% and then just be able to drive and ride and have fun with them. So I think that's going to be all for tonight. If you enjoyed this and you want to see more sooner, follow me on Instagram or Facebook. I tend to post a bunch of pictures there while I'm working on stuff. If you really enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in, and Saab on, folks.